All right. Hey everyone. Thought I'd pop on to talk about a little bit of my thoughts regarding the NHL's decision to stop the wearing of the Pride jerseys. The Gary Bettman announced yesterday that they're no longer going to wear he mentioned specifically the Pride jerseys, but obviously he's kind of referring to all practice warm up jerseys. Batman went on to say that he was talking about the distraction of wearing warm the warm up jerseys. So, anyways, I thought I'd just pop on here and do a quick live video about my thoughts about that because I think it's incredibly short sighted from the NHL and just a weak call overall. So, anyways, in an exclusive interview with Elliot Friedman of Sportsnet, um, the commissioner went on to say that they're no longer going to do the Pride, or he mentioned the warm up jerseys. He specifically mentioned the Pride ones, and he quote in the final analysis of the effort and the emphasis of various causes have been undermined by the distraction in terms of which teams and which players, and he means the players not wearing them. Uh, this way we can focus on the game, and on specialty nights we're going to focus on the cause. Now, let me know your thoughts if you just came on online. Let me know what your thoughts if you have any questions. I do have some thoughts here about that overall policy because it doesn't just affect Pride. Okay. The emphasis is on Pride nights, but in no way does it affect just the LGBTQS plus community and Pride night. So how do we all get here? So essentially, we all got here because um, Ivan Provorov, James Reimer, Mark and Eric Stahl, Ilya Labushkin, Denis Garyanov, and Andrei Kuzmenko. You can kind of see a theme here with the last names, and also the Chicago Blackhawks. The Rangers and the Wild decided to not do that. So the there was a lot some blowback on this a little bit online because the sports media, really paid attention to these guys and why they chose not to wear it, even though almost all of these players wore it before. They went on the record saying they don't, it doesn't align with their religious views and or whatever their personal stance, and that they wouldn't be wearing it, and quickly followed up by them wearing it in the past. So I think just with the political climate right now, obviously they felt a little bit more, I don't know, bold or confident to make those statements and to follow up on that. So a couple of things. We're not only just talking about Pride Night. So again, we're talking about military nights. We're talking about up here in Canada. We had like I know the Canucks do Chinese New Year's, Lunar New Year's. They do uh, the Calgary Flames did an amazing Aboriginal one with the horse head designed by an Aboriginal artist. It was phenomenal. The Canucks actually do a really good job. They have quite a few really cool warm up jerseys that look absolutely spectacular. But we're talking about Hockey Fights Cancer Night, and we're talking about up here in Edmonton, we had an affiliation with a young boy who passed away with cancer, and they did like a special kind of warm up set with a Ben Stelter patch on the jerseys, which obviously they wouldn't be wearing those in the game, so those would count as kind of the alternate uniforms. So we're talking about a lot of initiatives here, and this is where I think a lot of blowback, including myself, where I don't agree with this is you draw the line with Pride. A lot of the talk around the Pride jersey especially with the people who refuse to wear it. It has to be stressed and almost told to people over and over and over again that it's not you're not going to be gay because you wear it. You don't necessarily have to support that community by wearing it. When you wear it, what you're doing is showing that they are welcome to your games. And from a broad picture sense for the NHL, they have a problem on their hands. The Stanley Cup final viewership is down. it's been going down and down and down year after year. They have an image problem. They have a viewership problem, particularly in the States. In Canada, it's kind of the only major sport that we have up here. I know we have baseball, I know we have basketball, but obviously hockey is the major pro sports league in Canada. And they're always going to have high attendance, high visuals, and it's the states that they have to hit the markets with. And hardcore hockey fans, hardcore NHL fans, you have to look at it realistically. The NHL is such a subpar league. I mean, in the states, you've got NFL, NBA, MLB. I would argue college sports is more popular than NHL. I would argue PGA golf or college sports or tennis has higher viewership than NHL. So the NHL has a big image issue on their hands when it comes to uh, gaining traction down south in particular. And part of the interaction and the spreading of hockey and kind of doing a blanket appealing to everyone, appealing to the masses, is doing these kind of specialty warm up jerseys as kind of representation. So out on the west coast in Vancouver, they did, like I said, a New Year one, which obviously you're appealing to the Asian, Chinese community. I think they did one for Ramadan and like other kind of ethnic holidays, which is fine. I mean, if the NHL came up and did a Christmas jersey, like sure, no problem. The fact that they're singling out, and the Pride one is the one that is causing this whole kind of kerfuffle, you could call it, is just a really weak stance by the NHL. Um, just a really small group of people refuse to wear it, and they just, nope, we're not going to do any of them. And the other thing you have to remember too is that NHL clubs sell those jerseys. They get the players to autograph them. They sell them for charity. It's a kind of a, I wouldn't say it's a massive fundraiser for the NHL teams, but it's a big chunk of change. Connor McDavid's military autograph jersey probably, I mean, I'd have to look it up, but I'm assuming it'd probably go for 5-10 grand. Like those things sell for quite a bit of money, and they all benefit the community foundation and stuff. So you take in like I said before, military night, hockey fights cancer, all those nights, and you've got because they probably make jerseys for all of the players, all of the staff. So whatever, 30 plus jerseys per set, you know that adds up to be a fairly good chunk of change. But not only that, you take the sales and all that kind of out of the picture. The big issue that I have is it's an image thing. The NHL has made this kind of knee jerk reaction of like, okay, they know they can't just single out Pride. If they came out yesterday and said, you know what, we're gonna do all the jerseys except Pride Night, oh man, it would just blow right up. So they had to cancel everything, and that's really really unfortunate. And so I wrote a couple of thoughts here about why a stance on this particular issue is a little bit I wouldn't say out of character, because the NHL is just, they're horrible when it comes to making decisions like this. But NHL players participating in the anthems. When you're in Canada and US, you stand for the anthem. I don't know what the percentage is for international players, but there's a good chunk of international players. They stand on the blue line and they remove their helmets for the national anthem for Canada and US. No problems there. I don't see all the Russian players who probably have some allegiance back to the motherland saying, "Oh, you know what? We're at war with Ukraine and the Americans are helping Ukraine, so I'm not going to stand for the American anthem." People will lose their minds if they did that. So, obviously hockey players they do things that their bosses tell them, their organizations and the league tell them they have to do, that goes against their individual rights and personal views. So anthems, first thing. They always participate in moments of silence. We always have, in the states they have, mass shooting massacres. They have the death of whatever it is, a major celebrity or whatever. They have moments of silence for that. They stand and bow their heads and respect what that moment of silence or whatever it is for. They may not actually personally agree with whoever that person is, or if these guys who refuse to wear the pride jerseys use religion as a scapegoat to not wear them, as an excuse to not wear them, when someone dies that is like not part of the religion, they probably honor them still by bowing their heads for a moment of silence. So another example of like doing something made that perhaps may be against their personal or religious views or whatever. Um, Big one, the COVID-19 vaccine. The NHL mandated the vaccine policy. There's only one player that I know of, Bertuzzi in Detroit, I think he was playing with, that refused the vaccine. Maybe there's a couple, maybe one or two more that refused to get the vaccine, but the NHL mandated it. Uh, you know, Depending on what side of the camp you are on science, it might be a very controversial issue, but the NHL said, no, you guys, if you want to travel, if you want to play in this league, you got to get the vaccine. And they mandated it. They all the players got it except for one guy, I think. Maybe there's others. Maybe I'm missing. Let me know in the comments. And guys, I see your comments there. I'll get to your comments in a sec. Let me let me finish my rant and then I'll get to your questions here in a sec. Um, on I did an appearance on the Ryan Jesperson show, Real Talk with Ryan Jesperson here up in Edmonton, and I talked about how this is when the whole Kyle Beach, Chicago Blackhawks, the video coach sexual assault business came into play, and I had made a comment that the NHL is really reactionary when it comes to all this stuff, and proof is in the pudding with yesterday's announcement. But the NHL is super reactionary when it comes to hockey diversity, inclusivity. Hockey is for everyone. It's only been in the last, you know, maybe 5, 10 years that they've actually really jumped on this bandwagon of like including people of different heritages, races, whatever. And it's all reactionary because something happened. Um, they get called out on it, they react, and they do whatever. And this jersey is a prime example. A handful of it was at the board of governors meeting, so I don't know if it's management, GMs, or whoever decided to, you know what, we're done with this. This is whatever, and then they're like, oh, okay, well, just get rid of it. Super reactionary. There's no forward thinking on what does the NHL stand for? Are we inclusive or are we not? You can't say hockey is for everyone and then the players don't wear it. And on the point of the players not wearing them, they'll still sell the jerseys, but let's face it, a fan who goes to a store to buy the jersey, maybe let's just take Hockey Fights Cancer for instance. They may have lost a loved one with cancer, and they want like the purple jersey, and they buy it, they put their mom and dad's name on the back, and they wear it because it represents them. If you're in the LGBTQS plus community and you see Connor McDavid, Sidney Crosby, whoever wearing something that tells them that they're included in their world, that makes them a fan. That makes them feel inclusive. And it's typically one night. They wear it for warm-ups, and warm-ups are what, 15 minutes? And that gesture is huge in that world. And it's no different than military night. If you're a member of the military and you see the sports team sport a camouflaged warm-up jersey, you're looking at that and you're going, all right, you know, it's only one night, but they honor us, they respect us, they appreciate what we bring to society or whatever. That's the thing here. Because again, the pride jersey is the one that's the controversial one, but it has the same place as all the other jerseys, whether it's military, fights cancer, or anything like that. Okay. And that's why everyone's kind of an uproar. And I see some comments here. I'll get to them here in 2 seconds. Um, I mentioned the costs, the fundraising, everything is a big thing with organizations like that. Now, they not to say that it's that difficult, but a lot of the community foundations that operate within those NHL organizations are going to have to find another means of fundraising. I'm just going to go on a limb and say a couple $1 million of fundraising. Like if you have 5 theme nights, especially if you're a team that has some superstars, you have fans that pay top dollar for those autographed jerseys. Let's just call it $1 million. that has trickle down effects to everything else. So, like, all these organizations have found ways to fundraise that chunk of change, and now that's all going to go away because they can sell as many pride jerseys or hockey fights cancer jerseys in the team apparel stores, but where the real cash is the player worn warm up jerseys that are autographed and sold to auction, especially here in Edmonton with guys like Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl, etc. Um, and yeah, so again, they'll still sell the jerseys. So the NHL is still participating in these events. They're just not making their stars be a representative of that. So, all right, let's get to some comments here. So Sheldon Jackson, uh, absolutely great news. All the sports should follow suit. Shouldn't have to be forced to do something these attention gaffers want you to do. Everyone should stand up against them. Clearly, we're done. Sorry, I got to reread that. Forced to do something these attention getters want you to do. Everyone should stand up against them. Clearly, we're done. Well, Sheldon, I disagree with you there. There is a. I worked in professional sports for quite a while, and I worked in the NHL for 5 years. To say that there is that pro athletes are the moral standard of society, I think is a bit of a stretch. And that's where, players who stand and go, oh, well, I'm not going to wear it because my religion doesn't believe that. Yeah, well, I'm pretty sure your religion disagrees with a few other things that you may or may not do. So I'm just saying, to make a hard stance on pride is just a very interesting choice for some athletes, for sure. Cade was here. I feel like everyone should already know everyone is welcome as hockey fan, no matter who you are. Hockey is for everyone. Absolutely. But just it's no different than you as a person. Okay, even if you're someone who is very inclusive and very welcoming, and you say everyone's welcome, come on in, I welcome you. If you don't say that, I in public, I kind of have a very kind of stern, serious face, and people may be off-putting by that. They're, oh, Jeff looks like he's mad all the time. I'm not mad all the time. I'm very inclusive and very welcoming of everybody. And how much would it be to put someone at ease if I actually said that, or if I wore something that signified, hey, you're welcome in my house. I don't care what color of skin you are, your heritage or whatever. You can come over to my house anytime for a beer or for a meal. Like, if I say that to you, you're going to be automatically at ease. And I think that's why wearing something symbolic of a specific community is very important, because it puts everybody else at ease, right? It automatically says, oh, okay, they get it. They understand that. And, I have some patches here. It's on the top left there. The glare might obscure it, but the Pittsburgh Penguins had, when they had that big shooting at a mosque, they had a uh, everyone is welcome patch with the um, Jewish star. Sorry, I'm not really religious. I can't remember what it's called, but they had, they represented that, and I'm pretty sure everyone in that community said, "Ah, I appreciate the gesture." A gesture goes a long way. Kate goes on. I feel like sports, we should leave the personal matters alone. It really doesn't matter, or it doesn't really have anything to do with the league. The Pride Nights make people feel more divided, which is obvious. Well, unfortunately, it does. Um, and I would go on to kind of make a counterpoint of, if Pride makes such a divisive uh, uh, atmosphere in whether it's a sports or a household or whatever, if pride is the one thing that kind of splits the fan base, they've got work to do. I hate to say it, but like, I don't really believe in military invasions. I don't really believe in going into another country, invading them, and like instilling whatever. Americans and Canadians have military nights. A lot of places honor military veterans, and I honor that. Like, someone who is willing to put their lives on the line to go fight for freedoms and all that, I will stand, I will salute them, and I will honor them at every game, because they are willing to do something that I and most people aren't. Okay? So that is no different than someone who is in that community and is being, uh, dealing with all this crap. And we if the NHL chooses to honor them, I'll honor them. If someone's Chinese and they're celebrating Lunar New Year, be like Happy New Year, and I'll go down to the Chinese Chinatown and take in a Chinese dragon parade and probably eat some Chinese food that day. It's not, it's a way of honoring them. And if pride and if people who are gay and LGBTQS plus community is the thing that divides you, I think you got some real soul searching, in my opinion. Um, and sports, whether you like it or not, because I hear this all the time, was like politics and all that kind of has no place in sports. But unfortunately, sports, just like musicians, just like movies, is a way to uh, draw attention to some issues, and that this is a big issue right now in the country. So you know, uh, I get it. People don't want that in, but if we're going down this rabbit hole, where do you stop? Do you stop doing national anthems? I know people that don't like national anthems at games. I kind of like it. It kind of gives a formality to the sporting event that you're at. But the anthems, let's get away with those. Um, the owner dies, let's have a moment of silence. Hey, no, no, can't do it because that we're involving personal stuff. So the not bringing politics and stuff into the sporting world, you can't. Whether people like it or not, sports and athletes are very influential people in the world. Am I suggesting that the NHL has to make a spokesperson to promote certain things or agendas? Not really, and I don't think a Pride Night jersey really does that. Again, it's not um, advocating, like, even if you don't believe in that kind of space, it's not in a way advocating for that community. It's just showing that they're welcome to come to your game and watch. And it's a very simple and honorable gesture, no different than military nights. you know I don't necessarily agree with a lot of military actions around the world, but if there's a military member at the game, I'll stand and salute them because they deserve my respect, just like anybody else, right? So, sorry, just finishing up Kate here. He's like, it's pretty obvious that billion-dollar companies or leagues don't care about any of the issues they support. Yeah, probably. It's all to get major viewership, which is really upsetting. Greed is an ugly thing. Well, I don't necessarily think the wearing the different theme nights is to it is to kind of spread and make it more, have the broad appeal, more viewers on your side for watching hockey games, especially the NHL. And like I mentioned off the top, if you're just joining me, I started off this live chat or live stream with saying that the NHL has a real problem. Viewership is going down. Everything is going down. They're making some very questionable things. Not to go on a side tangent, but they just earlier this season they announced that Adidas wasn't going to be making their jerseys. That Fanatics is going to make their jerseys. And I don't know if you've been to any jersey store and picked up a Fanatics jerseys. They're absolutely horrible. And then their spin on it is, oh well, they're the players are still going to have the authentic jerseys made in Quebec or in Canada. And yeah, they are. But if a fan's going to buy an authentic jersey, it's not going to be that jersey. It's going to be a replica. Fanatics is just horrible. So the NHL is making some very questionable moves here. And it just, I don't know. They're not, in my opinion, they're not in a position right now to really be making enemies right now. They need viewership badly. They need views. They need eyeballs on this league. So greed is an ugly thing. Yeah, I mean, that's pro sports, right? So photo by Dustin. Hey, Dustin. So this is sad to hear. The designs that came out on some of the jerseys were incredible. Agreed. The Vancouver one from a few years back was just stunning. The Canucks have done some amazing designs for their jerseys, and it's pretty. I mean, even from the designers in the organizations, they pour quite a bit of effort into designing these things, and they like the Calgary Flames one, the Aboriginal horse head one is a really cool twist on their kind of alternate logo that they used to have. But yeah, I agree. The designs of these things are absolutely phenomenal, and again, they're fun. They represent causes. Hockey Fights Cancer. It's a cause to show support for cancer research and cancer victims and families affected by cancer, which is everybody. Military nights. It's a night to honor those who serve in our militaries, and they come and they're a part of our community. Every major city in North America probably has uh, a military base near them, and the military is a big part of our communities. So we honor them that night, right? What else? The Aboriginal stuff here in First Nation stuff here in Canada. We done some really Turtle Island. The Oilers did a really cool Turtle Island one, and there was such positive feedback from the Turtle Island jersey that like all the First Nations people in Alberta probably looked at that and be like, "That's awesome. That's the path to reconciliation. That's wicked stuff." So it should be no different than wearing a pride jersey. If you're wearing a pride jersey, people in that community look at that organization and be like, cool, that's awesome. And maybe they buy one up. So um, Brandon Paul, I have a feeling that teams might start making specialty jerseys that will be worn for the whole game. Oh man, Brandon, dream, buddy, dream. I will tell you that getting designs approved for even warm-up jerseys is a long, arduous process. I know for a fact that the Edmonton Oilers, for the longest time, refused to wear military and Hockey Fights Cancer jerseys during warm-up. They sold them, but they refused to do that because they thought it kind of watered down their brand. They didn't want I think what probably some of the governors and some of the owners right now kind of feel that they don't want to be wearing these kind of sideshow projects. They just want the Oilers jersey. That's it. And I remember it was a big deal when the Oilers decided to wear military jerseys and Hockey Fights Cancer jerseys actually for warm up. And I'll tell you, it may not seem like a big thing, but when the fans file into the lower bowl to watch warm-ups and they see a team wearing those jerseys, it has an impact. Visually, like when people do that, it makes an impact on people. It really does. If you had lost someone from cancer and walked down to a lower bowl and saw, McDavid and Nurse and Draisaitl wearing that pink lavender jersey, you're probably looking at it going, "That's awesome. Yeah, that's wicked." And it conjures up minds. So there's always this debate and argument of where to draw the line between sports. Like people go to sports to escape reality and just lose their minds for a couple of hours. No different than going to a movie. But uh, the flip side of that is it's an amazing platform to draw attention and support to that. Fundraisers. Fundraising happens at these games for those causes. So yeah, but for specialty jerseys for the whole year, the NHL can't even do that for warm up. So there's no hope in hell they're going to do that for a game. So Brandon, I hear you. That would be awesome. Some of those pride jerseys or just some of the alternate jerseys for they have for warm ups would make wicked game jerseys, but they can't even do it for warm ups. There's no hope in hell they're going to be able to do that for an entire game. Cade, thanks for reading. Love everyone's opinions. You made some good points as well. Thanks, man. And that's the thing is like I hope when we talk about these types of things, it's a discussion and we can kind of bounce ideas off each other and bounce alternative thinking because I think a lot of people watched the announcement yesterday and maybe you're in the camp that was like, yeah, you know what? I don't want to deal with that stuff. I just want to go to a game and enjoy a game. And on the other side, you're like, you know what? It's a really cool gesture for an organization to show that you're inclusive of whatever. And it's an important thing. And I think the most disappointing thing about the announcement yesterday was that Bettman did an exclusive with Elliot Friedman. He didn't do it in front of media to actually answer questions. It was Elliot Friedman doing a scoop. But the overall announcement of having the jerseys discontinued, I think it just shows how backward thinking the NHL can be. And in an age where they're trying to really break ground in the professional sports world, and in particular down in the States, I don't, it is just, it blows my mind that they made that decision because they are hurting for viewers. They're hurting for overall good publicity, and just a week and a half of bad publicity because one, two, three, four, five, six, seven players kind of decided not to wear it. Negative attention for a couple of weeks, and they pull the plug on everything. That's it'd be pretty pretty frustrating, I think, for a lot of fans in those communities. And I know people who run the auctions for NHL jerseys, and now they have less stuff to sell. So they either jack up the prices on everything else, or find other ways to raise some money. Hit me up some questions here. Those who join me online, I'm reading all the questions here and asking. If you're just joining us uh, today, I just kind of felt like I wanted to do a kind of a live chat about the commissioner yesterday saying that they're no longer doing themed warm up jerseys. I love jerseys. I'm a bit of a jersey nut. I can't afford jerseys, but I have uh, some a pretty decent collection of jerseys that I've collected over the years. And yeah, I kind of collect. Again, they're not cheap, so I only have a few of them. But yeah, just started. Sup, Blainer? um, just talking about the decision to not do the warm up jerseys, and again, just kind of recap on the main bullet points is huge overreaction from the NHL for a small handful of people, and it really is unfortunate that the decision to not make or not to wear pride jerseys, because let's face it, that's the that's the jersey that we're talking about here. No more military, no more hockey fights cancer, no more indigenous themed jerseys, which are just, it really gives an NHL some color, literally and figuratively. It really gives the NHL a little bit of variety, because the NHL is notorious for just not being, they're either very reactionary or just not that creative overall. They're very strict and stringent. And for a league that is in the States, a mid to bottom tier league, it gives them a little bit more broad appeal. And I think that's the kind of the main point I'm getting at, is a very short-sighted decision on I mean, honestly, not a huge thing. So PG-13 Hockey Man. I think it's good they're stopping the theme jerseys. The one I wish they kept is Military Appreciation Night. That's the one I think they should say, hey, I think they all should stay. Yeah, I mean, you can't draw the line on just military. Like, you have different demographics of people show up to your game. You honor the military, you honor a veteran every game, and that's awesome. I stand up and salute and honor people who serve in the military. I think they deserve our respect. No different than a family who's lost a loved one for cancer. No different than someone who is in a very um, criticized. People just. I don't know why they're so weirded out by LGBTQS plus community. I mean, I honor them too. They go through a lot more diverse or adversity in their lives than I do. No different than the Chinese community in Vancouver, or the East Asian community in Vancouver on the West Coast. Sorry, no different than the Jewish community. Like, if they had all those theme nights, absolutely, I honor and respect all of them. So I don't know why we're drawing the line at pride jerseys. PG Hockeyman continues, it's about hockey. They shouldn't pander to people who don't care about the sport. Well, that's a pretty shallow comment. I'm pretty sure there's some, I mean, I worked with people who represent that community, and you sure as hell, damn, they love hockey and they live and breathe it. They work in the NHL. So saying that that community doesn't love hockey, no, that's pretty shallow. I mean, it it makes as much sense as like the military fight wars and shoot people. They have no business in dealing with hockey. Like, no, sorry. Everyone loves hockey. Well, I shouldn't say everyone, but people love sports. A lot of people like hockey, regardless of your background. Dustin, to give the reason. So Bettman, I read the quote from Bettman earlier. It said, in the final analysis of the effort and emphasis of these various causes, have been undermined about the distraction in terms of teams, which teams and players are wearing them. This way they can focus on the game, and speciality nights, we're going to focus on the cause. So they're still having the theme nights, just the players aren't going to wear it. So it's kind of like, hey, we're going to honor the pride community, but we're just not going to make our players wear it. So I don't know. It's pretty weak. Again, a lot of the players who refuse to wear it cite religious, personal reasons, and I kind of went over some other things. Like I'm pretty sure a lot of almost the majority of the people I listed who refuse to wear it, a lot of them are from out of country. They stand and honor our anthems every at the start of every game. They take their helmets off when they're told to take their helmets off. They stand for the anthem, even though it's not their country. And a lot of these guys are Russian too. Like they probably have some allegiance to the motherland, and they're in the war with Ukraine, and the Americans are supporting Ukraine. I'm pretty sure there's some internal struggles there, but they still take the lid off and salute, and maybe some of them sing the national anthem. Um, so, and pro athletes do some pretty morally questionable things behind the scenes too. So the Pride Night line to be drawn is just a very interesting one. Um, PG Hockey Man continues. He says, from the high school scene, the only nights that get special jerseys are military night. Well, cool. I mean, that's cool that high school does it. That's kind of neat. He said, but the thing is, the LGBT stuff is a religion. That's not true. There isn't a night for Christians or Muslims or Jews. That's not true. The Pride community forces companies to bow down to them. Okay, so PG Hockey Man, I'm going to blow your mind here. Up here in Canada, we do have nights for specific things of different religions. The thing is that especially in North America, the trend now in sports is we kind of draw attention to people who need help and people who are persecuted, that need have endured quite a bit over the last whatever century or whatever. So up here in Canada, we have Indigenous nights. So the Calgary Flames, you can look it up. The Calgary Flames, the Oilers did a Turtle Island one. I believe Vancouver did one. I think most of all the Canadian teams did it. They have a Aboriginal themed one. The Seattle Kraken, I think, did one as well, honoring their First Nations people. So uh, they have nights to honor them. They have nights to honor Lunar New Year. They have nights to honor Ramadan. They have nights to honor Jewish community. Like the NHL, I have a patch from the Pittsburgh Penguins. They had a patch on their jerseys to honor shooting victims. They honor things like uh, I forget the name of the high school, the Marjorie Storm Day Douglas School, what the mass shooting down in Florida. They wore patches to honor them. So they honor a lot of things. And, it's cool that the high school honors military. I fully agree with that. So, but gay people are not a religion. I'm sorry. That's just you're gonna need some research on that. They come in all shapes, colors, sizes, and backgrounds. They are not their own religion. Um, let's just see here. Cade was here saying no player should feel forced to support something they don't want to. They can't ignore their religion. Maybe they should do a night that is designed to all people, not just targeted to one group. Well, if you did that, it would be pretty. The messaging would be pretty broad. And again, there's a little bit of hypocrisy here when it comes to the NHL and their theme hockey is for everyone. They kind of have that theme. They toss it out every once in a while with some of their ad campaigns and stuff. Their hockey is for everyone nights, which is basically kind of their pride night, at least up here in Canada. Yeah, I mean, sure. Again, when people of different backgrounds or colors or uh, sexual orientations, when the day comes that they're no longer persecuted or bullied, like there's a big wave of uh, like physical and verbal violence towards people in all these areas. When that day happens, and sure, we can have an all one night celebrate everybody, but that's not that's not if you did that, you piss off some people too. So, if you have a Lunar New Year night, it's a Chinese New Year. I mean, if you have uh, it's Aboriginal Day yesterday or 2 days ago, First Nations Aboriginal Day here in Canada. It's a day to acknowledge and draw attention to people who are um, feeling persecuted for their beliefs or their orientation or their background. And I guess that kind of illustrates the point that having these nights elevates the conversation, and the people who say, well, this stuff doesn't belong in sports. Sports is huge around the world. Um, and by doing these nights, by doing these theme nights, it gets us talking about these things. And maybe I can convince you that uh, that group needs attention, is deserving of some focus from pro athletes who could influence other people, who can normalize this stuff. But the fact is that we're not going in that direction right now. It feels like a lot of it's going in reverse, and that's why the decision yesterday by the board and the commissioner was a little bit of a shocking one, because it just seems like the NHL is just moving backwards on this stuff. Like, keep that diversity is key. That's what makes the NHL and the fan base interesting and exciting. And it if it opens your eyes to say, oh, there was a comment in the chat about, oh, well, people that are gay don't belong or aren't fans of hockey. Well, that's not true. Obviously not. And if this conversation and these types of things makes you look and be like, oh, they're just kind of like me, and like celebrate them, then I think that's all good. So um let me just read this. Um BG Hockey Man, I think you need to do some hardcore research. I work in my full-time job is within government. Your comment of in California, the government can take away your kids if you don't allow them to get gender surgery. Oh boy, that's a loaded one, man. Yeah, you're in the states, I assume. I don't know if you live in California or not, but hey, Kate. Yeah, thanks for dropping by. I'm hoping to do a little bit more live streams. I'm hoping to do some more content. It's been so busy in real life for me that I can't really do a heck of a whole lot. But thanks for tuning in. I hope I made some good points and it resonated with you. It's not just practice jerseys that get denied. There's a lot more to the conversation. So, anyways, thanks uh, for tuning in, and thanks for everyone on my Insta stream. Anyways, if you have any comments, leave comments down below. If you are for and against it, I'd love to hear from you. I'm always open for a really cool chat or debate about things like this. And the whole point is conversation. So, anyways, thanks everyone, and thanks for tuning in. I'll let you know if you follow me on Twitter at _the rinks on Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram, Facebook. I'll give you a heads up before I go live so we can chat. Anyways, thanks for tuning in, everyone. Take her easy.